Hello, everybody. Praise the Lord. Today is day 29 of Expressions of Definitions Redefined, Book 2. The soul-searching inventory question is, how do you react when being challenged or even threatened in some way concerning your belief? The title of the poem for today is At the Sound of the Coronet, written May 2nd, 2013. At the sound of the coronet and all sorts of musical instruments, the three Hebrew men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were ordered to bow to the image of gold. The great king Nebuchadnezzar demanded worship from man, but one thing he didn't understand. There was a true God that the three Hebrew men were faithful to, the mighty God who is all-powerful and true. He is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob too. He is creator of the ends of the earth. At the sound of the coronet, they refused to bow. They had chosen the God above. At the sound of the coronet, the three Hebrew men refused the king's command. They chose rather to die if they must than to put their trust in gold. They refused to bow at the sound of the coronet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut. They refused to bow at the psaltery or the dulcimer. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious that they would not worship the image of him. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than ever. Then he ordered his soldiers to bind their hands and feet and thrust them into the fiery furnace. Who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? He said in Daniel, the 3rd chapter, the 15th verse. Into the fiery furnace the soldiers bound them up and thrust them in. They made such haste to thrust them in that the soldiers were engulfed in the flames. And as King Nebuchadnezzar watched these Hebrew men who expected would burst into flames, he could hardly believe his eyes. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loosed, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Daniel, the 3rd chapter, the 25th verse. Not a hair on their heads was singed. Not a fiber of their clothes were burned. Their God was with them. Their God had delivered them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spoke. He spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trust in him, says Daniel 3, verse 28. King Nebuchadnezzar released and promoted the men and ordered all to respect the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No one was allowed to speak against their God, for he realized that their God is a great God who delivers his servants who trust in him. God delivers his servants who trust in him. God delivered his servant David out of the hands of the giant Goliath. God delivered the children of Israel, drowning Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea. God delivered the Hebrew people using the Queen Esther when Haman plotted their demise. God delivered the harlot Rahab and her family from the destruction of Jericho. In each and every circumstance, they put their trust in God. They resisted bowing to the enemy. They did not give up or flee. They defied the powers of darkness. They received the victory. At the sound of the coronet for the battle of our souls, those who put their trust in God shall see the power that God poles. And thus reads Day 29 of Expressions of Definitions Redefined, Book 2. Again, the soul-searching inventory question is, how do you react when being challenged or even threatened in some way concerning your belief? Ponder that for a while and have a very blessed day.